Hola chicos, today we're going to talk about commands in Spanish or mandatos en español. Before we get started, there are two modes of conjugation in Spanish in the present tense. So, dos modos de conjugar en el presente, and those are called the indicative, and the indicative is nothing more than what you learned in Spanish 1, just the regular ending. So, for the verb tener, it would be tengo, tienes, tiene, tenemos, tenéis, tienen. No surprises, this is how you learn verbs, just the regular ER, IR, and AR endings. Now there is another way to conjugate a verb in the present tense, and that's called the subjunctive mode. And this is where we take the opposite ending rather than the same ending. Now what do I mean by opposite ending? Well, tener, you know, is an ER verb, so it gets ER endings. And you also know that ER endings share the same endings almost with IR endings. So in the indicative, an ER verb would get ER endings, an AR verb would get AR endings, and an IR verb would get IR endings. But in the subjunctive, ER and IR verbs take AR endings, and then AR verbs take the ER and IR endings. So what does that look like? Well, it looks like this. For the yo form, it would be tenga, because tener is an ER verb, but I want to use the AR ending, tenga. Now, there's no distinguishing between the first and third person, so yo and él, ella have the same forms. But this is key in the subjunctive mode. You have to use the stem of the yo indicative. So you notice that these look alike, tang, tang. And that's going to be for all of the persons and number. So for two, it's not tienes, it's tengas. Tenga, nosotros tengamos, vosotros tengáis, and ellos tengan. Now, I'll explain when to use these, especially in the context of commands in this video. But right now, just take a minute to look at this and really let it sink in how these are formed. So, tengo, tienes, tiene, tenga, tengas, tenga. One is the indicative, one is the subjunctive. So what is a command? ¿Qué es un mandato? Mandato, or a command, is when you want to tell somebody what to do or not to do. And I can give all kinds of commands. I can give you a command, and in Spanish, that could be either tú, usted, or vos. We're not going to talk about vos in this video, but tú is for informal or casual situations, and usted is if we have a formal relationship. I can give y'all, or you all, a command, vosotros, vosotras, or ustedes. Now, vosotros is only used in Spain. Ustedes is used all throughout Latin America. I could give us a command, like let's do this, nosotros or nosotras, and much less common, but I can give them a command, him or her or them. So I could say, let them do it. That's kind of a third-party command. So there are two intentions, dos intenciones. One is when you want to tell somebody to do something. That's what we call an affirmative command. Logically, not to do something would be a negative command. All right, I'm just going to give you an overview of all the commands at once so that you can see the pattern. It's not meant to overwhelm you, but rather to teach you that there is, in fact, a pattern that once you get under your belt, it becomes really easy and demystifies all these endings. In Espanol, we'll call this overview or snapshot un pantallazo. So I've divided this chart into three categories: first person, second person, and third person. Now, second person can be casual or it can be formal, as you already know. Tú or usted. In Spain, vosotros, vosotras, or ustedes. So let's start with the most complicated, which is second person. If I'm being casual with you and I tell you to look for something, I would say busca. And you can see that this command takes the normal ending. Buscar is an AR verb, so it gets an AR ending. But it's not buscas, because that would be you are looking for, as opposed to, hey, look for it. So busca, no busques. The negative to command is no busques. It goes to the opposite ending. If I'm being formal with you and I say look for it, I would say busque, or not look for it, no busque. So there's no difference here. if I'm using the plural, if I'm talking to a group of y'all, in Spain, these are the endings: buscad, no busquéis. In Latin America, in all the countries of Latin America, you would say busquen, no busquen. So what do you notice about all of these? Well, they all take the opposite ending except for the affirmative tú, and if you're in Spain, vosotros. But in Latin America, this is the only situation you would use the normal ending. Every other command goes to the opposite ending, and that's basically the secret. All the commands in nearly every situation goes to the opposite end, unless you're being casual and you're telling somebody to do something, unless you're using tú. Now, it's the same with nosotros, first person. I don't give myself a command, I just do something. But I can say, hey, let's do this. So again, I would go to the opposite or the subjunctive mode conjugation. Busquemos, let's look for. Let's not look for. No busquemos. And third person, if I want to say, hey, let him look for it, I don't care. I would say que él busque. Que ella no busque. This is reversed. It should be que ella no busque. Now it's the same thing with plural. Que busquen, que no busquen. Let them or don't let them. And that's all there is to it. Hopefully that hasn't overwhelmed you. All right, I'll see you in the next one.